redirecting to YouTube. Okay, looks like we are live.
Okay, oh, great. Okay, so we'll just edit the beginning. Hi.
Hello,
Okay.
everybody. Welcome. We're live.
Yeah, it took us a while to get live. Um, so today we'll continue our conversation about aging skin through the lens of Ayurveda. It's it's really exciting, and we had a detailed conversation before about the different doshas and how, depending on your dosha, you will see different signs of aging. As your skin ages, you will see different signs and symptoms, and you can relate to that dosha. Definitely watch that. It's very detailed. It goes dosha by dosha. But today we'll talk more about how Ayurveda in general, how it sees aging, and why not why we don't really need that much, why we are united as we age. All Asian skin kind of falls under one category in Ayurveda. It's because it's pretty simple, and we'll be able to understand it. Um, so in Ayurveda, the culprit of aging is Vata dosha. And Vata dosha consists of two elements, and it's space and air. So it's very spacious, it's very moving, and it's very mobile. And as we enter, so there are three stages of life, and each is governed by a different dosha. So the youth and the growth is governed by Kapha dosha, and then the adulthood is governed by Pitta dosha, where we've grown already and we're maintaining what we have. And the third stage is governed by Vata dosha, and that's where we slowly our body starts to uh, destroy itself in preparation for the last stage of life. And that's in control of Vata dosha. That's what unites everybody, no matter what your constitution is, no matter what your problems are, because Vata governs that last end of life stage. Then everybody starts seeing those symptoms and signs of Vata dosha, and I think you'll be able to take over, Sam, and describe the signs and symptoms of Vata dosha.
Yeah, definitely. So as Maria mentioned, Vata dosha is the element of air and space. And so there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of it's very quick to move around. It's cold, it's dry, it's rough. These are the qualities of Vata dosha. It's light. And so what we would normally see with Vata dosha is like the skeletal structure. So the bones, they're connected to Vata dosha, and they obviously start to disintegrate and to weaken. You'll also see that there's more dryness in the body. So as we get to the later stages in life, we get very dehydrated, we get very dry because of this air element, because of this space element. And so that's also happening in the Vata dosha. Also, you'll notice like the fine lines and wrinkles if we're just talking about the skin. Obviously, that is Vata dosha, and like the dehydration that happens and the cellular decline. What else have I missed, Maria? I've probably missed quite a few there, I think.
No, I think you've done really well. That and these are the symptoms. Everybody will see them. What is different then is how well you are able to control that Vata dosha. That's number one. And number two is your constitution, because if you're already Vata dominant, then the signs and symptoms will be really dominant and really visible in you. But if you're more kapha dominant, which is like basically opposite qualities, then you will see more like slower aging. Your skin may be still really oily or like plump, while in Vata people, it will be really like rough and dry and maybe a threat of wrinkles all over the face. And yeah, so the qualities that you mentioned, they are the main ones are dryness and roughness, and um,
Mobile, light,
yeah, lightness, so that the bones become more light and they disintegrate. So it kind of leads to disintegration because it's so light and so mobile. It brings this lightness and disintegration into the body and a lot of dryness. So it's very simple then what we need to do. From Ayurvedic perspective, all we need to do is just the opposite. It's by Samanya Vishesha theory that likes attract the likes and the um, opposites are passive by the
balancing.
like.
Yeah, and I love the way you just said that because I just think it simplifies it all. Doesn't it just simplify it so much when you look at like the effects of what's happening in the Vata dosha stage of life, this dehydration, this kind of wrinkling, this kind of lightness of body, loss of muscle mass. It's like, so the lightness, then we're introducing the opposite qualities, heavy, and we're opposite, dehydration. So we're introducing more hydration, and it just makes it so simple.
Exactly. And that's what we love about Ayurveda, I think, is it's so simple to understand. Once you get the principles, you can easily apply them into everyday life. You don't have to be, it's just very, very logical. It is scientific, but in a way like the wisdom of life. It's not scientific where you need to know the formulas. It's more scientific by like it's just so easy to grasp and understand because it just makes sense. When you're thirsty, you drink water. It makes sense. You don't have to be a physician or mathematician. You don't have to have a degree to understand those basics. And the same with Ayurveda. It's just so very logical. And so the opposites, as Sam said, like the opposites are from the quality perspective. Yeah. So if Vata is dry and mobile and rough, then we just get and light. So we need to get the opposites to balance that Vata dosha and delay the signs of aging. And to do that, we need to introduce, and then in Ayurveda, a lot of it is oil. So for
I was just going to
anything,
say that it's the
exactly.
number one. In fact, I think for me, even now at 50, oil is just, I like that this morning. So I'll tell you a funny story. So this morning I had quite a lot to do and I needed to do the oil process. So I had put oil in my hair. I was walking around with hair oil in. I was having oil on my face with a mask. I'd done an oil massage and then I was just like creating, making the breakfast for the kids and feeding the dogs whilst I was just dripping in oil.
Exactly.
But I
And
needed it.
that's so Ayurvedic, isn't it? It's just, it basically, that's what Ayurveda does. It's all about covering you in oil. And I keep saying the same simile, and it's in Ayurveda because they say like even a dry stick can be made oily again with a lot of if you just soak it in oil. And the same is the human body. So to nourish and hydrate it, you need a lot of oil. Well, there is a precaution with oil, and we need to mention that. I think it's important because if you have any inflammatory diseases, um, either it's acute inflammation or chronic systemic inflammation, then definitely you, you need a consultation or like being cautious. You can still apply the oil on your face as a part of your skincare routine, but definitely not like dripping yourself in oil because that oil will also, what Ayurveda also always does is making sure that the body is clean. And if you're generally healthy, then there is no problem. You can use as much oil. In general, you can use as much oil as you need. But if you have any issue, then that oil will feed the inflammation, it will feed the negative stuff in the system, it will feed the toxins basically.
Can we give some examples of that, Maria, for our listeners who might not quite know what you mean? So maybe some of the
Sure.
dis-eases and challenges that people might be experiencing as they're getting older, where oil would not
Yeah.
be good.
I mean, obviously, with anything like anything acute would be high temperature, malaise, not feeling well, uh, even just feeling very hot, like when you don't really know what's going on in your system. As a precaution, don't do any oiling.
Mm.
Even Abhyanga, putting oil on your body, that's what Sam done this morning, and I've done as well because like Vata does get aggravated so easily. And then from the chronic inflammation perspective, the most frequent one is rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah.
That's a condition where some amount of oil can be put, but it's always a particular balancing type of oil with salt. And then, that it's a very case by case scenario. Like there is no one size fits all. It would be, I would advise in general, no oil for rheumatoid arthritis because you will be feeding the toxins there. Then anything where the inflammation is currently very high, um, what kind of inflammatory conditions can you think of now, as people age or in
Well,
general?
I think unfortunately in our Western society, low grade inflammation is kind of so common. So I think like most of us, as we're approaching 50s and beyond, will probably, unless they've been doing regular cleanses and things like that, have some form of low grade inflammation, which they can probably notice from even digestive issues, could also be showing up as low grade inflammation. But I mean, that might necessarily, in terms of like putting oil on, I think for the more low grade ones, I don't think it's an issue. It's more when it's more acute. But osteoarthritis, oil is actually beneficial, isn't it? Because that's more of a
Yeah.
Vata disease.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
opposite. So all the
And it's so good to calm the nervous system, isn't it? Like, so the reason why I was saying oil with Vata is you may notice as you're getting into later stages of life, especially if you're already Vata dominant, that it's very much connected to the nervous system. So, it's mobile, it's moving this particular dosha. And so it can bring on like anxiety and those kind of emotions and nervousness more. If you've never really suffered from it, you might suddenly start suffering from it. And that's because the Vata is becoming more dominant. And so oil is just one of these wonderful things that you can do to just pacify your nervous system and just relax you. And I know, Maria, you when you found oiling your feet at night, it was like a game changer for you, wasn't it?
For me, yes, definitely. The just putting some oil, it just brings so much nourishment to the feet, and I feel that I rest so much better. I sleep so much better, and even better if people know about the marma points on the feet, then it just like it completely relaxes, and the feet that they carry us all day, so they need this tiny bit of extra love at night. And it just improves everything. It improves the way we sleep. It improves the levels of, like, decreases levels of anxiety, promotes calmness, better rest, deeper rest, um, and yeah, balances the entire system just through applying just a few drops of oil on the feet.
Yeah, and the word in Sanskrit is sneha, isn't it? It also translates to love, like they use the same word. So I think that's also, it kind of shows how much value the Vedic tradition put on oil, the value of it, which has been passed down through the knowledge. And once you start using it, because I think sometimes in the West, people are a bit funny about oil, aren't they? People much prefer to use moisturizers. I know we're going off topic a little bit here, but they prefer to use moisturizers and oil, although it's very accepted in India, for example, where Ayurveda was born. Like in the West, sometimes people are a little bit with
Yeah,
oil.
put
But
off, yeah.
yeah, but what's so great about it is that, sorry, that's the doctor.
Okay, okay, yeah. So I'll just so Sam has to take an important call, and yeah, so I really loved how she brought that the sneha and a love that they go together. So basically, when you put oil on your skin, it really is giving love to yourself and to your body, which is absolutely beautiful. Um, it's the way of massaging kids as they were small, like when they were growing up in households, kids were massaged with this oil, and it's not just a process of applying the oil. Obviously, they see it as a very healthy process, but also is this connection and this love, which is going through the massage. And as humans, we absolutely need this touch. We need to be touched. We need to touch others. We need the contact. Connection is so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah,
But
and
what
I
you
wonder whether
said,
like
Yeah,
Well, if you look like the blue zone countries, there's been a lot of research about that recently, and people aging really, really healthily and really, if you take like Greece and places like that in Europe, the Mediterranean kind of blue zones, they use a lot of oil, don't they, in their diet.
exactly.
And it's really high quality, like the olive oil, for example, like straight from the tree, like really high quality oil, and they're consuming it. So not only are we talking about
Ex-
oil on the body, the hair, the nails, the body, the face, but we're also talking about getting the right balance of oils into the diet, like but healthy oils. There's a big difference between, some of the oils you can buy in the supermarket, which are highly processed, and the cold pressed, high quality oils that your body is just craving as you're getting older, as you're drying, literally drying up. Adding in more healthy oils will not only help your bones and help your body, but also it will give you an amazing glow. It just actually helps the skin so much, doesn't it, Maria?
Yes, exactly. It's also hormonal health because that's where the base blocks for the hormones are healthy fats. So we
Yeah.
absolutely
Omegas, brain health, it helps with the brain.
everything, and it's so unfortunate that especially in the West, the diet and the females, the need to look a certain way and have a body of a certain shape and proportion has led to many young women to completely exclude fat from their diet. And there were cases which other doctors as well shared with us. They observed in their practices where like very young females were going through the signs and symptoms of menopause. How crazy is that? Because they completely excluded any
Food
fats,
groups. Yeah.
all fats from their diet on the long term. And then obviously that's um, such an unhealthy way is in general how we are
Yeah, yeah.
approaching our
All
body.
or nothing. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
think what might be quite interesting is, did we finish talking about the qualities? I'm not sure we did. I think we went on to oil and the heaviness. Yeah. So the reason why we were talking about oil is because Vata dosha, as we said, that it's light, it's dry, it's cold. So maybe we can talk about cold now, because I think that's really important, because it kind of leads into like the Ayurvedic lifestyle, like the Ayurvedic nutrition, really, and how Ayurveda sees diet in the Vata stage of life, which connects to your skin health, of course.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really well. I really like how you pulled it in. That's really important. So basically, and Vata qualities because it's air and it's so mobile and cold, um, and dry, and it's also cold. So it's one of the main qualities of Vata. So as we age, it's so important to get warm, hearty meals in our diet. And when people are having mainly salads or like cold sandwiches, they are increasing. So as I said, like Samanya Vishesha theory, its likes are increasing the likes. So if you consume cold food in your diet, if you constantly take in the cold showers, and like one by one, you're contributing
Cold
even
drinks, that's another one.
cold drinks, icy drinks. That's a huge one. Then also like very fast lifestyle. It also raises Vata dosha and contributes to cold in our system. So as in general, our lifestyle is getting this Vata aggravation. Then end of life or after starts after 50, the Vata stage of life kicks in and the Vata qualities are increasing. If you keep doing all this cold food, cold showers, cold a lot of actions, which also brings in cold, then you really will exaggerate the symptoms of aging and will be much more visible and much more felt. You may start suffering from yeah, like from osteoarthritis. That's very common. Um,
Yeah,
and
and I think as
other
well, like
degenerative
sorry
mainly.
to interrupt you. Just what just came to me when you were speaking then about the cold foods and the cold drinks and this kind of aggravation that starts to happen, because you may have done that your whole life and not had a problem, but because you're now entering into the Vata stage of life, you might suddenly notice things like Maria said, the arthritis, but also the digestion, because Vata is responsible for the colon part of your digestive system, and it can get very, very dry. So the more cold, dry foods you're consuming in the Vata stage of life, the more that's going to aggravate your digestive system and create a lot of irregularity, because Vata is also very irregular. So, your digestion, if it's got a Vata imbalance, like you can be hungry 1 minute and then forget to eat, the next minute it's like all over the place. And so is your elimination. And so that's also something that you might notice, which is why Maria was suggesting warm, well-cooked foods, because they are the easiest to digest, and also regular meal times is so
Regularity
important. Yeah,
and warm
regularity.
oil.
Yeah,
And warm oil, like traditionally the oil that we apply on our hair, on our face, and on our body is all warmed up as well.
yeah,
Then obviously when you apply on the face, you can just warm it slightly between your arms, but that would increase absorption as well. So it's very logical. Like wasn't necessarily described in a scientific way, but it's very, very logical, very, very scientific.
yeah.
And
And the warming spices, and we're not really talking about Ayurvedic nutrition today. It just kind of flowed in quite nicely, but we will be doing conversations around that. But warming spices as well.
I think it's
Um,
important. I mean, maybe we just say that we do the regular detoxes, and then if you see those signs and symptoms in your body, then definitely that's something really important to have a look at, and maybe do join us in for our next detox program because it's really fabulous. We teach all that, we give recipes, and we give really an opportunity for the body to cleanse. Which is needed for especially as we age and a lot of toxins accumulate. So we give an opportunity to really cleanse, remove all the necessary toxins, and then rehydrate, re-nourish our body to delay this unwanted signs of aging because aging is a natural process and we will all experience that. But there's some signs and symptoms are absolutely unnecessary. So issues with health is not aging.
yeah.
And if you do have any of those, then definitely that's something for you to look into. And I think for us, because we are Ayurvedic practitioners, we love Ayurveda, so we do kind of start diving deep into that. But the purpose of the conversation was also talk about how Vata affects the skin health. So
Mm.
maybe we can move on to the skin health topic now and how oil benefits our skin from the Ayurvedic perspective.
Yeah, I think what I love about Ayurvedic oils and the Ayurvedic philosophy is that they are seeping their oils, herbs. So what, they're botanicals, like the Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia is like a book about this thick, isn't it? And it's just full of all the plants that can help with health. And from an Ayurvedic perspective, there are certain plants which are rejuvenating, and they are then seeped in really high quality oil, and then create this amazing oil for the body or for the face. So not only are you getting the benefits of oil that we talked about, but it's like infused with plants that are nourishing you on a really, really deep level and have been carefully selected and studied for millennia. So it's like these plants are superpowers, really. And the oil is going into your skin, which is like almost like the largest organ that you have. I know it's not officially an organ, but your skin is like the largest. And so you're putting it on your skin, whether that's your face or your body, and it's going directly into your bloodstream. So it doesn't have to bypass the liver, it doesn't have to bypass the stomach. It's going straight into your bloodstream. So straight away, you're bringing in the really high quality of the oil. Whereas when you're buying other products, maybe that are packed with artificial ingredients and toxins, etc., and you're putting that on your skin, it will give you an instant smoothness, of course. But, in terms of healthy aging, what is going into your bloodstream?
Yeah, I think it's really beautiful that you mentioned that because what I think, and I've been doing that as well, that's why I'm sharing now, because I just kind of occurred to me since you mentioned that, you can obviously not use oil, you can use something else on your skin, and you can feel that it's moisturizing. But if you are noticing that your skin is actually having more symptoms of dryness, which is often the case after using those unnatural substances on your face and body, then immediately you get results. With time, you start experiencing more signs and symptoms because obviously that's getting into your bloodstream. It has to be detoxed from the body. It also has drying qualities in some of the artificial substances. They also have drying qualities. And if you think, like, because people often want immediate effect, they want immediate results. And since they're getting it, yeah, now I want it here and now. And since they're getting it, they keep using it. But if you just kind of detach from that for a second and think about you're here now, you're going to live. I think most of us are planning to live for another 30, 40, 50 years, depending where you are now. And think about 20 years if you're using that and it gives you instant benefits, but then it kind of causes more imbalance. So if you use it every day for 20 years, what's going to happen? What kind of symptoms you can expect as actually the Vata will aggravate and you will experience more dryness naturally.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so there's like two conversations here almost. We're talking about the benefits of choosing something that is healing and nourishing for the skin over maybe something that is giving you short-term benefits that maybe when you look at that ingredient list, you don't even know what half of it is. Like, and and that's okay if you have been doing that. We're not saying either way, we're just giving you our advice.
Oh, I was
But
as well. It's
yeah,
not.
yeah, we all
Most
did. I
people
mean, before I
are.
learned Ayurveda, yeah, I would just go into a local retail outlet, quite famous ones, and just buy what was on the shelf and believe that they were good for me. And now, luckily, I know differently. But also, no matter what you're doing, when you get to a certain point, a lot of the time it just stops working because your skin is changing. Like we've just said, you're going into this new stage of life, and maybe this skincare routine or body care routine that you've been doing since you were 20, suddenly it's just not working anymore because A, your skin is more sensitive, like Maria just shared, and you may have been using toxic ingredients that have been like affecting your skin's microbiome and kind of creating imbalance, and you're going into this drier phase of life. So it's really important, I think, for our listeners to really experiment and kind of see how is your current skincare routine help, are you noticing that it's doing its job, or are you noticing that it's not and you feel that you need to change things up a bit?
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, exactly. It's just being aware. It's just
Yeah.
being present to what arises in your system, just being very present and honest with your body. Because I was fooling myself for many years. I was thinking, oh, actually, it does help me instantly. But then the fact that I was needing more and more, and then it was causing me more and more problems, that got me into a vicious circle. And now I was just like, no, it's very difficult to step out of it.
Mhm.
But that's kind of a healing crisis some people may experience when they step out from all the artificial substances they were using into a healthier lifestyle and they see like, oh my God, like it's shocking. That's exactly where I am now. But it's so
Yeah, and
important to
and
see.
you need to give like so it's not an immediate it's a transition from one to
Condition.
another
Yes.
because it takes time. So you might be using something that gives you instant results, but when you actually sit and assess it and look at the ingredients, you may decide that that isn't the way you want to proceed for the next chapter of your life, and you might want to go all natural. And sometimes what happens is there is like a transition because your skin, and this is so fantastic when you think about it, it is a living organism. Yeah, our body is just so beautiful, and our skin, it's not just skin. It's full of like microbes, and it's got its own terrain. It's like full of it's a microbiome. So it's like this community of really
Exactly.
bacteria and microbes and fungi and all these things that you don't imagine you're carrying around, but we all are. And they're not only in our gut, which is really well spoken about nowadays, but it's also on our skin. It's our first layer of defense. And so over the years, as we've been putting these products on and makeup and all these other things, like, we are our microbiome is very imbalanced, and it's nobody's fault. It's just the way that it is. So when you're going all natural, and I'm talking about like proper natural ingredients here, not where it's saying it's natural, and then you read the ingredients and realize it's not. Like it's actually what you're doing is you're starting to work with nature because your body's nature. And so you are now going to start building a relationship in a way with your body. You're, putting great product on there that the body is receiving as nourishment, which is different. So it's not receiving it as just something to go on the surface that's just going to fix it short term. It's receiving really deep nourishment, and it's rebuilding its microbiome and its skin barrier. And that's, I think, where you start to see the really tremendous results, but they do take a little bit of time.
Yeah, I think it's from scientific perspective as well that the cell membrane, it has this the fatty
Yeah,
uh,
the lipid layer.
lipid layer, which is
Yeah,
actually fat and nourished by that oil.
yeah, because oil could penetrate. It's one of the only
Exactly.
substances, water can't, like only oil can go into the cells.
Yeah, and then for skin, I think we're talking about skin, and then you mentioned about rasayanas, the rejuvenators, the rejuvenating herbs, the ones which give you youth. And I think with this in mind, we've developed our oil formula, the skin, the facial oil formula. And that's the reason why there's only one oil, even though we are Ayurvedic practitioners and we are really well aware of different skin types, of Vata predominant, Pitta predominant, Kapha, and all the combinations of these three. Um, Even so, as we age, all we really need is oil, and our oil is made with those rasayana herbs. So with the rasayana herbs, what happens? The best herbs which are rasayana, they are also pacifying vata. And the qualities of them, they're mainly roots, and like root, they've been under growing under the ground. The qualities are opposite to vata, which is like all airy and all mobile. Then the roots are the very grounding. They've been nourished with that ground and water. So they hold these opposite qualities to vata, and through that they nourish the skin even deeper. So one of the my personal favorites for all vata diseases is bala, and it's just like it's strengthening, it's nourishing, it's vata pacifying. Another is licorice, ashwagandha. They're all really great vata pacifiers, rejuvenators, and that's why we've developed this one formula which is like a combination of the best for vata. To pacify that vata, you only need this herbs steeped in the oil and the best natural ingredients. And it's suitable for any type of skin. Is it vata? Is it pitta? Is it kapha? Then you can play with the cleanser, because cleansing is so important. You can play with the cleanser to adjust it to your skin type, to make the to reduce, maybe if you have inflammation, then the cleanser will help to reduce it. And then if you are Vata, then you just apply more oil. If you're more Pitta dominant, you apply medium amount of oil. And then if you're Kapha dominant, then you may just like be the lucky one who only needs a few drops here and there on the maybe like the eye zone, and like wrinkles, like slight less than average person, I would say. And that's all the difference, because as we enter this mature skin stage, the Vata age, that's all our skin really needs. We can also combine. We can add a serum. We can add a few more things, and there are fancy ingredients coming in and then going, and then they are demystified. And like vitamin C, for example, the it's really great, but vitamin C is in all those herbs as well. Like an amla is the Indian gooseberry. It has crazy amounts of
Yeah.
vitamin C. It's the highest actually amount of vitamin C um, in the plant kingdom, as far as I know. Um, so they all those ingredients, vitamin E, you don't need to have them separate. Uh, Retinol as well. There
So
are
if you
products which, Bakuchi oil, yeah. So like you can get them from the natural kingdom, and you don't have like squalene. We have chosen for this particular reason, we have chosen amaranth oil because it's the highest naturally available source of squalene. You don't need to derive it from anywhere because as soon as you start deriving and taking one from another, and then the body doesn't know. So it's like taking one substance like a tomato and you just derive like for example with curcuma. I think it's a very good example with turmeric. um, at some stage it was really well approved by research that the active ingredient in turmeric is curcumin, and it's very effective, and that's what actually decreases inflammation. And um, and then people started taking curcumin separately because it was in a lab, it was separated, and high strength extract was given to people. And straight away, the problems occurred because our body doesn't work like that. It needs all those other substances in turmeric as well to be able to absorb and to be able to really integrate it into our body because it doesn't know. So what the heck, what is it?
Yeah.
Our body doesn't know.
And I think you just highlighted something really important there, and it's like the Ayurvedic perspective is is when you start messing around in a lab with everything, then your body stops recognizing it as food, doesn't it? So it then becomes the bioavailability is less. Whereas, we're talking about the oil here with these herbs, like because they are the whole herb that's then seeped in the oil with all of the properties, not just pulling out certain ones that are
Yeah.
beneficial, but the entire herb. So when that's going onto the skin and feeding into the bloodstream, your body is recognizing it. It's not like built in a lab. So your body is recognizing it and able to assimilate it and send it to where it needs to go. Because let's not forget the body is like super intelligent. And its ability to, choose foods and know exactly where they need to go and how to turn them into, the protein chains and all the amino acids, etc. So, the more natural it is, I think the more the body accepts it, and it's more seen as nourishment, which as we get into Vata stage of life, that is the word, that is the buzzword.
Yeah.
Nourishment is all about that on every level.
Yes, and I think the biggest problem with the modern science, which we love, and we also all our ingredients, we also search for scientific articles to make sure that the ingredients are really also approved by science. So it's not that we are uh, not valuing the power of science, but the biggest problem with science is sometimes it goes so deep into the minute details, so deep into the nitty-gritty that it forgets the entire picture. It's like if you imagine that you're drawing a picture and you're so involved into like just like one minute part of it, one tiny thing, and you actually forgot that you're drawing a picture because you are like so concentrated on that one thing. You forgot that it is about the picture, and then it creates imbalance because everything else is then out of whack.
Mm.
And it's so important to remember that our body is one whole. You can't separate one from another. It will all have impact. So it's not just separating and mind and getting, it's important to go deeper to understand. But then after you understood, it's important to go back to the whole
Yeah,
and understand it from the whole perspective as well. So I
yeah.
think that's what science is failing to do. It goes really, really great into the minute details analysis, and it often fails to go back and reapply it to the bigger picture, to the whole body.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's a system. It's all about balance, isn't it? Balancing the system, which is
Yeah,
what we're talking about
entire
today.
system. Yeah,
Balancing that the Vata dosha within the system of your entire being, so that you can be healthy and vibrant on all levels.
yeah. I think talking about skin, did you want to mention anything else about our
Yeah,
line?
well, I think we were chatting, Maria and I were chatting before about symptoms of aging skin and maybe some things that come up for people that are troublesome. And we've spoken quite in detail about the dehydration and the need for nourishment. But how about Maria about, dark spots and pigmentation and things like that that people start to see as their skin ages, maybe due to, sun damage over the years or other factors? Like, how do we see that from an Ayurvedic perspective?
Yeah, it's a really great question. And I mean, it's a very common concern nowadays. So, from the Ayurvedic perspective, that's an issue of two doshas, Vata and Pitta. So, as Vata brings in the imbalance itself, and then the everything, it's connected to skin because of the sense of touch. It's really connected to the skin. And then Pitta is anything to do with the colors. So any discolorations we see on our skin is also Pitta. There's Pitta involvement. So from these two perspectives that we need to balance these two doshas, Vata and Pitta. So from Vata perspective, it's and what most people are trying to do, and that's why they fail to achieve good results, is they concentrate on the very surface level. So they try all different potions and, like they try all different things, and their skin is laughing at them. And the again, if you go deep, you have to really go deeper because Vata and Pitta is not just what sits on the skin, it's looking at the body as a whole. So from the Pitta is really highly connected to the liver and then the liver health. So if you start really improving the liver health, if you start pacifying your vata in the system, so it's not aggravated with all the nourishment, not just from the outside, but also from the inside, taking warm foods, as we discussed, warm spices, really regulating your daily rhythms, the circadian rhythms all will regulate. Everything will regulate in the body. And then you can see improvement. And you won't need any miracle solutions. Applying oil and sunscreen, that might be enough if you're taking care of your health internally.
Yeah, great. And how would you go about taking care of the liver? Like if you were starting to see signs of discoloration on the face, obviously if you have concerns, you would go to see your dermatologist or GP. So we're not saying that we've got the answers here, like, we're just saying from our perspective, and from an Ayurvedic perspective, what would you suggest in terms of liver, how to support the liver if you were noticing, sunspots? I mean, I've got some. I'm
Mm.
asking about myself. Can you give me some advice?
Okay, yeah.
I've got some that have come up, especially this summer, being outside. I've noticed, my skin is now 50 years old. Um,
Your skin is beautiful, and I think there are many, it's like multi-component. The easiest thing everybody can do, and they should, is a detox. And I know that you are doing that already. And I'm not sure, it's obviously very difficult to compare because you don't see the version of yourself who doesn't do that. Yeah, so if you were able to see in the projection a version of yourself who doesn't do the detox, doesn't do the healthy lifestyle, doesn't balance the vata, and you could compare the skin, that would be very, very handy. But in general, you are already doing the right stuff because if you are uh, if you are doing regular detoxes and you're taking care of the vata, then the extra things that you can do, they will be basically under the guidance of a practitioner because it will involve some sort of a deeper cleanse, some herbals for the liver cleanse, and potentially some procedures like Virechana and um, Bastis. We can talk about that later. It just goes into
Yeah. So
some.
these, what Maria's talking about now is something called Pancha Karma, which is Ayurvedic purification treatments, which go alongside any herbal protocol in Ayurveda, because Ayurveda believes that the body should be purified before the rasayana, before the herbal medications go in to balance and heal. It's like there's no point. I think, in fact, you've got a really nice way of saying it, Maria. How do you say about putting
Oh, the
when?
cloth. I really like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
cloth example where if you want to color cloth, you always need to wash it first because otherwise, if you imagine coloring a cloth which is not clean, what's going to happen? It will have very uneven color distribution. But if you wash the cloth and prepare it properly and then color it, it's going to be beautiful and the result is going to be amazing. And that's the same with the cleanse. And I think cleansing the body regularly as we age is not, it's like out of question, it's a must for everybody, at least once or twice a year. All of us need to do it if we're looking after our health, if we want to be healthy as we age. It's really key.
Yeah.
And then there are during our cleanse we do also offer personalized support where you don't have to do the panchakarma because obviously panchakarma is more it's more specialized where you have to be in a clinic setting and ideally it's in India because they provide this facilities. It's really expensive here in the UK to get the all the at the moment there is like not many practices that offer this type of service and also it requires quite a long time away from home in a setting. After that, it also requires at least, well, I would say at least a week of coming back to general normal life, very slow progress. But during the detox, what we do, we offer simple solutions which you can do at home, like home cleansing methods and solutions, herbs you can take, little procedures that you can do, castor oil applications, depending case by case
Yeah.
scenario, yeah, personalized approach. And then we do that, and the results are also impressive.
So impressive. And they're immediate as well. And I think what I noticed, as we're talking about skin, I mean, I also felt amazing in my body, like so energized. The first time I did a cleanse, I never realized what it felt like to to feel like the after cleanse glow, they call it. And I just felt so amazing. But my skin and my eyes, so my eyes were bright and shining and my skin was glowing and like my whole being was just, people were stopping me and going, what have you been doing? You look great. And it was because I gave my body this chance to detoxify and heal itself.
I
So yeah,
love
I mean
it. It's
that
very
was over a
important what
decade
you
ago
said.
and I haven't stopped since. Just
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Because you've seen the results straight away. But I think what you mentioned there is so important, is just like the key of everything is you allowed your body to heal. That's what you just said. That you allowed that process to happen. And that's what actually ages us fastest. We don't allow our body is has the innate ability to heal. It has this innate capacity. We don't really even need to do much. It's basically just removing all the unnecessary, giving it space and time to heal. And that's what we guide people through. And then as a side benefit, you also experience the skin transformation and the entire the beauty which comes from within. That's what a lot of people are talking about. And that's
yeah,
what you just mentioned, exactly your story. And if you remember our friend as well, who went to and that's from the home panchakarma, like from home cleansing. Then we definitely encourage everybody to take a look at that. But for those people who are able to go to India and go through a transformation there, our friend went and her skin like was it was it was like basically baby skin after that procedure. Yeah, she was prescribed a personalized protocol and treatment plan. I think it took her um, in total, it took her 2 months, about 2 months to 6 weeks. She was in the hospital, and then she was staying there, and so it's a long process, yeah, two months or 6 weeks, something like that. But the skin after that, she it was like basically like baby skin.
yeah.
It was
And it
so
was all,
beautiful.
and it wasn't with it was just all with natural plant-based herbs and diet and it wasn't like anything she hadn't gone and had like any major treatments or anything done from like modern it was all
Yeah.
just ancient wisdom and the plant kingdom and it can have these tremendous results.
And it's all about the health because she was not going there for skin. She didn't have any skin
No,
issues.
she didn't, but she had a very her lifestyle, her job, it was like a super typical Western
Yeah,
lifestyle, very stressful. And she gave herself a break and never looked back, I think. Yeah, it's a great story, that one.
yeah. So, I mean, because we were talking about skincare, that was the point of our conversation. I think we connected it really well. So, just now to finalize, um, that's why I think we only have two products for the skincare, and we're not really looking to develop any um, variations of facial oil in our collection. We're not really looking at that, and that's the answer why, as the main point of our facial oil, is to really nourish the skin in a very, very deep level, to pacify the vata, to get all the herbs which nourish and pacify vata, and um, and then along with the cleanser, especially after cleanser, it allows all the nourishment to penetrate even deeper. And that's going to be our skincare line forever, like that, these two. And then we might add a serum or we might add a cream. And we definitely, the first thing we're looking at is a sunscreen. This is an important one. But then we're not going to be developing any further oils because we think that's exactly what the mature skin is. That's what is needed for mature skin, no matter what type of skin it is.
Yeah, well said.
Okay, so let's round it up.
Thanks then.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.